As the NFL Scouting Combine begins this week, teams and their representatives are in Indianapolis to watch the prospects and hopefully the future stars of an NFL team. But today in this video, we are going to focus on the Eric DeCosta press conference and some of his thoughts. Moves, or should I say no moves, that were made yesterday that could affect the Ravens in free agency. And one player that may be a fallout from some of the words from this press conference that can be added to bring some stability to the team. All this coming up now. So early this morning, Eric DeCosta took the podium at the NFL Scouting Combine, gave a few thoughts on the Ravens in this past offseason and what is to come. To me, the biggest takeaway from this is Eric DeCosta watches the Road Pod. I mean, he said it. If you don't believe me, listen here.
I've gotten at some podcasts and stuff too, but I do feel that in this business, it's easy to do the same things the same way every single year. And I think for me at least, being creative, kind of looking and being exposed to different things is very helpful, whether that's a podcast. Sometimes my best ideas kind of germinate from some of those different types of things.
Now, you heard the man. He said it himself. He watches podcasts to get a different perspective on things. And we just put out the video on insanity and the Ravens doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And he spoke about doing the same thing over and over and maybe taking a different approach. So to me, hopefully there is an open mind. Hopefully there is an alternative perspective on how we're entering the 2024 season and beyond. I'm not speculating that the Ravens change their identity, but I'm asking them to do something different. We've been trying defense since 2018 and it has not worked for us. Do we go into another season where we try to go defense first and not score points? So that is my only ask. I don't care what you do defensively as long as you give that same energy to the offensive side of the ball. And hopefully with this is a turning point. This is a course correction with the Ravens realizing that Lamar Jackson is your best asset and it is in the team's best interest to protect that asset and give him as many options as possible and not have to put or bear the weight and brunt of everything during the NFL season onto his shoulders, especially offensively. So if this is the case, Eric DeCosta, I hear you. Let's just hope that these words become actions. I joke, I keep. But in all seriousness, one of the biggest takeaways was, for the most part, we do believe that Justin Madubuike will be a Baltimore Raven come 2024, whether it is through a contract extension or being franchise tagged. With the salary cap going up more than $10 million, that gives the Ravens and other teams a little more flexibility when it comes to re-signing their players and getting free agents. But this also helps in the cap space that the Ravens need if they have to franchise tag Justin Madubuike. Now, his franchise tag with this increase now ups to around $22 million. Currently, the Ravens only have $16.8 million available, so some moves would have to be made. The question is it worth it? So not only do the Ravens have to clear that $22 million for the salary cap, they have to clear even more if they want to make other free agent moves, if they want to re-sign players. So they have to get a lot of things done. Are the Ravens going to restructure Marlowe's contract once again? Are the Ravens going to restructure Ronnie Stanley's contract once again? It seems like every year since they've re-signed these players, they are restructuring deals and pushing that money down further along. Or they could undoubtedly restructure Lamar's deal and save $23 million to give them a little bit more room to play around with and sign some other free agents. But if the Ravens do tag him, what does that mean for Patrick Queen? Is that kind of signing a free agent death sentence to Patrick Queen? Because if you spend all of that money to retain him and you don't have that much room under the cap, how could you possibly bring back Patrick Queen? Because if you do that, you're going to have to restructure a whole lot more contracts because that $22 million franchise tag is going to eat up predominantly everything that we have right now. So is that him saying, I like what you've done for us, but sorry, not sorry? The Baltimore Ravens could have prevented this by granting him his 5th-year option, which would have put him under contract for at least one more year and gave us another year and hopefully another gigantic increase in the salary cap in 2025. But who's to say? So I don't know if this is essentially a smokescreen, but I do believe that the Ravens do want to bring back Justin Madubuike for the 2024 season. DeCosta also spoke about the offensive line. He says they're going to build the best offensive line that they can. And I've seen throughout Twitter today that most people say we need to bring back Justin Madubuike more than we need to fortify this offensive line, which is insanity to me, because why would you want to not protect your greatest asset? Now, granted, Justin had a wonderful season. I think he can come close to it next season, maybe not replicated, but something close to it. But your most important asset is Lamar Jackson. So why is an offensive line an afterthought? I don't know. but I do think that the Ravens are going to try to bring in better pieces, hopefully not cheaper options that they can kind of fit under the salary cap, and actual players that can protect Lamar Jackson, because we've seen the last time that Lamar had protection, what he could do. And from what I'm hearing, this is a offensive line tackle rich draft, so hopefully there may be a prospect that can fall to us. Also, DeCosta noted that he has kind of taken notice of the wide receiver room. They're going to evaluate free agents. They're going to look heavily in the draft to hopefully get Lamar some weapons. Now, I'm not against the Ravens drafting a receiver in the first round and getting a free agent. To me, the more the better. It's an offensive league. We're not going to get to that, but they are looking into the offensive line and wide receiver positions. Hopefully, we do not have to sacrifice one for another. And lastly, DeCosta spoke about the running back situation. He said they're probably not going to go into the season with only 2 running backs. He's confident in Keaton Mitchell's ability, but I do think he knows that the Ravens need an upgrade. To me, Justice Hill is predominantly a third down back. Keaton Mitchell, if healthy, is a change of pace back. We need that bell cow. We need the guy that we can rely on down in and down out to get those tough yardage and grind it out. I don't know what the Ravens are going to do with Gus Edwards. I think his time in Baltimore has come to an end. And me personally, I think he needs to go to a team that can utilize him a little bit better. If he is that starting running back, go find your team, make your money, and make your mark on the NFL. And speaking of running backs, yesterday, out of the top 5 free agent running backs that were available, none of them were tagged. So this could possibly be great news for the Baltimore Ravens. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Tony Pollard, and Josh Jacobs were not franchise tagged by their team. Now, that's not to say that those teams will not franchise tag them. That's not to say that they will not go into negotiations with them. But it does open the possibilities that if the Ravens are serious about putting someone behind Lamar that they can count on, this is the opportunity to do it. Now, it's going to cost a little bit of money. It may cost between $8 to $11 million per year, but the Ravens sorely need someone that they can put behind Lamar and count on down in and down out. I know there's speculation and even former Ravens that spoke about Derrick Henry signing with the Ravens, but to me, I think Saquon Barkley is the younger, more dynamic running back, and he could do a lot more damage in his offense than he did behind a battered New York Giants offensive line, and he still got his numbers. Austin Eckler, I think he would be a decent addition just because of his pass catching abilities, but he is on the older side and he has been injury marred these last few seasons. But hopefully the Ravens don't let this opportunity pass them by, because there's not going to be another time in the NFL where 5 of the best running backs remain unsigned. And last but not least, speaking of tagging Justin Madubuike and potentially not bringing back Patrick Queen, I think there is a temporary resolution, maybe a temporary replacement that the Baltimore Ravens can actually bring in. And that to me is actually bringing somebody home. And that somebody being Baltimore native Shaquille Barrett. Shaq Barrett from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has been released and is a free agent. Now, I know he is not the splashy signing. He may no longer be the Shaquille Barrett that he was that helped Tampa Bay win a Super Bowl. But looking back over his career, especially coming off an ACL tear, he had a pretty decent season last year. Coming off an injury, he had 4.5 sacks, and this will be the second year coming back from that injury. Now, I know that he is 31 years old, and you sometimes don't get better with age, but I think as a stopgap linebacker until they can find out if Trenton Simpson is ready or they can draft Patrick Queen's replacement, he would be an okay addition. Now, in his injury-plagued year, he had 3 sacks. The year before that, he had 10. 2020, he had 8 sacks, and in 2019, he had 19.5. I'm not saying that he would be anywhere close to that 19.5 sack year, but I do think from a perspective of us needing pass rushers and the Ravens generally going in after older ones, this would be a perfect match. We are entering the realm of, is our Super Bowl window closing, and how long can this team remain in the hunt for the Lombardi Trophy? So we need to get players that we technically know can play and stop wishing upon a star and hoping that these young guys develop into the players that we thought they would be. So to me, bringing in Shaq Barrett, depending upon the price, is a no-brainer. Once again, if it comes at the cost of us going cheaper on the offensive line, don't do it. So appreciate you guys for hanging out. Make sure you come back for all of your Baltimore Ravens news. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you are aware when I come out with new videos. Also, to my patrons, if there are any out there that missed it, make sure that you let me know if you are coming to the Baltimore Ravens Stadium Tour April the 6th. Hang out with us. I do think that there is a food festival going on that we might hit up after that. Have to check in and see, but after the stadium tour, we're gonna hang out, have a good time. So till that time, it's your boy.